going to be getting our acceleration here at the Expedition Max. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Ford Expedition Max in the limited package. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with this Expedition. Check out the inventory link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood of the Expedition Max, we have a twin-turbo 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 16 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 375 horsepower and then 470 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end, and if you guys are wondering why I have it on so you guys can see the lights. Otherwise, it just shows the LED accent lights, but the headlights don't pop on if I don't have it on. Anyways, let's actually go over the front end. So first off, with the hood, you just have the traditional Expedition hood where you've got kind of like the two bulges on either side, kind of like what they used to have on the F-150s before they redesigned it. And then coming down below, full LED lights, which look absolutely fantastic. They're really bright, just like on the previous generation F-150. It's the same lighting cluster. And then notice that you get the full chrome grille. I love how the chrome kind of like goes right into the LED accent light, so it all matches together from a design standpoint. You have a camera just below the Ford logo, and then we do have these little kind of like chrome arcs right here with the fog lights in that area. And then we do have parking sensors along the front end with tow hooks, and then there's an air dam at the very bottom. But other than that, there is your front end look on the Expedition. Now coming on the side here, we've got 285mm tires wrapped around 22-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. I feel like the wheels look pretty good, especially with the overall profile of the Expedition. And yes, you do need giant wheels because it's a giant SUV. Notice with the mirrors, there's black on the bottom and then white there on the top, and then they have like a little chrome strip there in the center of the door handles. But here's the full view on the Expedition Max. Now let's pop into the back of the Expedition Max. So first off, we've got a bunch of controls here on the side. These actually help out with the seats. So you guys can see the little buttons right here. So if I press the button right there, then notice that it'll lower both of the seats in conjunction. And then notice that you can just do them separately as well. But then I can also just press the button right there. That's for the second row. So pretty much can do that. And then if I press this button again, it'll raise those seats. The second row, you do have to pick it up, so you can't just press the button again. But notice you get some storage space here in the back that goes all the way to the very back, which is pretty nice. A 12-volt, and then there is some extra storage just underneath. And then this is the biggest benefit of the Max, is you do get a larger cargo capacity in the rear behind the third row. Let's go over the rest of the rear of the Expedition Max. So first off, we do have these gigantic taillights here in the back, which I think they look pretty cool. They're full LEDs with a little arc right there. And then you got your Max badge, so everyone knows that you got the big bad boy Expedition. Parking sensors all along the back. Now for the towing capacity, it's about 6,000 pounds. The payload is 1,756 pounds with this exact Expedition, and that's all for the rear. Going over the door panel here in the rear, notice that you've got the nice soft touch up here with the stitching, and then just down below, also where you rest your arm, you've got more soft touch, and then you've got some wood trim that's kind of in between both the layers. Got your little window control right here, and then you've got one of the speakers for the sound system, which I think is cool that they do a little circle. And then here are the seats in the second row. So you got the full leather seats, you've got the nice perforated design there in the center portion, and then you've got your adjustments here on the side of the seat. But let's pop in, and the side steps do help out quite a bit with getting in. Now that I'm actually into the Expedition, headroom is pretty good. I'm 5'11", and then in terms of legroom for the second row, it's really solid. And then you've got some storage right here. You can control the climate zone for the rear just down below with that, and then you have a little media area just up above it, and then you can charge a bunch of devices. There's a full power outlet on that other side, which is pretty neat. A couple of cup holders, and then notice that the second row does get these cool little armrests, which if you pick it up, then it makes accessing the third row a lot easier. And there's a bunch of floor mats in here, which is nice so that I don't have to get a brand new vehicle a little bit dirty. But anyways, now that I'm back here in the third row, still good on the headroom, and legroom's actually pretty decent back here. I'm impressed. And then we've got a cup holder right here, and then you've got another little USB, and then this is for the seats to kind of move those if you do need to do that, which is in the nice little function right there. So you basically can just press those buttons depending on what you want to do. And well, that's the third row. Let's head up front. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front of the Expedition. So first off, again, you've got more soft touch here at the top, and then just down below you've got the wood trim with the soft touch. You're actually going to rest your arm. All of your window controls are in this little area, and then you've got your mirror adjustments, your memory seats as well, and then a bigger circle for the speaker up front because, well, the front passengers are a little bit more important. But I love how this kind of like all flows into there. I think it's pretty cool. And then coming to the seats here at the front, again, full leather. You've got the nice perforated leather here in the center portion, and then your adjustments there on the side of the seats, full power. And then you got the pedals just down below, and then we do have a little parking brake right there, and then we've got the pedal adjustment, light controls just up above, and then these are for the seats to raise and lower them, and then that's for the rear hatch. You've got your adjustment for the steering wheel, which is automatic, and there's one more look before we pop in. Here's the steering wheel in the Expedition Max. So we've got full soft touch leather around the whole steering wheel, and then we've got our volume controls on this side. You've got your voice command, phone controls, adaptive cruise control on the other side, and then we do have the controls for the center stack. And then just behind the steering wheel, you've got your little stalk for the windshield wipers and the turn signal. And other than that, that's your steering wheel in the Expedition. Now here's the center gauge cluster. So we've got the RPMs on the left side. On the right side, we've got the speed. And then we do have a couple screens here in the center, which you can scroll through to give you different bits of information, like your off-road status. You've got your safety tech over here. And then we've got your towing stuff on that page. And then this is kind of like the digital gauges, or like you can do a speedo in the center, which is pretty neat. But yeah, that's all for the center stack. If you're familiar with the center stack in the previous generation F-150s, like the 2020s, then this will be very familiar to you. Here's our center infotainment system. First off, above the infotainment system, we've got some controls. So you've got your hill descent control, stability control. This is for the hazard lights. That's your lane departure assistance, your auto stop start to turn it on or off. And then this is for the camera system to pop that on or off. And when you press it, it'll pop on the front camera, and then you press it again and it'll go full view with the front camera, and then it'll go kind of like side view with the front camera as well. So pretty neat with that. And then if you pop it in reverse, this is the camera view that you get. You still get the bird's eye view, and then you can zoom in on the receiver hitch if you are gonna tow with this. As for the rest of the infotainment system, response time on it's really good. Again, this is the same system that you got in the previous generation F-150. So if you guys are familiar with that infotainment system, then you'll be familiar with this infotainment system because it's all the same. It's the same thing I have in my Raptor right now. I really like it. It's easy to use, and well, that's all for that. Now I've got a bunch of controls here in this little area. So we've got our analog controls for the radio, and then a little 12 volt. Analog controls for the climate system, and then it does have heated and ventilated seats and a heated steering wheel. And then coming over here, we do have the trailer backup system, and then the trailer brake controls. Those are all already integrated. And then under my Bronco mask, we've got a little wireless phone charger and then some USBs. And then if you press that, it'll cover up, again, just like in the F-150s. Unlike in the F-150s, this area is a little bit different. So yes, you still get the wood with the cup holder covering, which that's all the same, and then there's more wood trim around this. But we've got the little dial shifter, and it does have the manual mode, and then you can shift the gears yourself with those little buttons right there. And then we've got our drive line select. So you've got your 2-wheel high, your 4-wheel auto, and then over here, you guys can't see it, but it's just a blank switch. And then we've got our 4-wheel low, and then we've got our parallel and perpendicular parking assistance and our parking sensors, turn them on or off. And then the drive modes, those are gonna pop up here in the center. So we've got a bunch of different drive modes. You got your normal, you've got your eco, the sport, and then you've got your tow haul, and then you've got your mud and your ruts, sand, wait for it, grass and snow, and then back to normal. It doesn't really change anything with the screen, it just changes how the vehicle performs. Now we've got the little center console set up right here, again, just like in the F-150, and it's nice soft touch leather all over it. And then coming over to the glove box, dual glove box, absolutely massive. And again, it's just like in the F-150, and it doesn't like to close, just like in the F-150. More leather there at the top. Up top here, we've got universal garage door opener, and then we've got this for your cool sunglasses. And then you got a bunch of controls for the full panoramic sunroof, which is definitely nice. Only goes to the second row because it's such a big SUV, but at least it has one. But yeah, those controls are right there, traditional mirror, and it's a full black headliner. Now that we're done going over the interior on this Expedition Max, let's quickly get into the pricing. So in terms of pricing, this Expedition Max stickers for about $74,000 before any type of market adjustment. That all being said, let's take this Expedition out and see how she drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the Expedition Max. So first off, visibility over the hood. If you're used to an F-150, then this is going to be really easy. It's a little bit lower to the ground, but the visibility looks pretty much identical. And then there's your visibility through both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's all throughout the rest of the rear. You have a bunch of really large windows, but again, with the blind spot monitoring, doesn't really matter too much. And that all being said, well, let's set off. As you can see, we are setting off here in the 2021 Expedition Max. And first off, let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So from a ride quality perspective, it is a really big SUV, and typically these bigger SUVs ride smooth, and this is just like the other big SUVs. Now, if you guys, again, I'm making a lot of comparisons to the F-150, but if you guys know about the Expedition, then you understand why I'm doing that. Ride quality wise, it's super similar to an F-150. So if you like the ride of the previous generation F-150, you're gonna love the ride of the Expedition. Brakes on it are really good, stopping power is solid. And then going around this little roundabout here, yeah, handling's pretty good. I mean, you guys can see how much I have to turn the steering wheel to go around that. So there's a little bit of vagueness with the steering, but I mean, it's a bigger sized SUV, so it's expected with the steering. Now I am gonna pop it over into the sport, well, whoops, wrong way. Gotta go into the sport mode, which will get our acceleration up here. And we have a green light for once, so we might, nope, never mind, it went yellow. I was hopeful, guys, but we weren't that lucky. But yeah, so far, really quiet in the cabin. Really good from a driving experience perspective. Like, if you're looking for kind of like a luxury vehicle, this kind of meets those luxury needs so far. Well, we are going to be getting our acceleration here at the Expedition Max. That was quick. It's really quick, especially in the sport mode. It's really good. And right now I'm in 4-wheel auto, and so grip is not an issue whatsoever with the Expedition. But yeah, from an acceleration standpoint, it does a really good job with getting up and moving. Yeah, it's nice. And yeah, it handles pretty well. Like, it doesn't feel massive, even though it is a pretty big sized SUV. And going around this, yeah, it just handles really well. But we'll get another acceleration here. You just hear like a rush of wind. It's pretty cool just with the noises you hear from this. Sounds really cool. But yeah, acceleration on this is really good. And that'll get me to setting things up with this Expedition Max, and hopefully, there we go, back in normal mode. So from an exterior aesthetics perspective, it is a little bit more on the civilian side is the best way for me to, I don't know what else to call it. Like, it's definitely understated is, I guess, another way to put it. It's not crazy. It's a good looking vehicle, but it's not crazy out there. And I think most people buying this don't really want something that's crazy overstyled. And then from an interior perspective, I feel like the interior materials, they're all nice. Everything feels nice. The seats feel nice. You've got nice tech with it, with the heated, cooled seats, all that kind of stuff. It's got everything you need. It's got a good camera system, and then the ride quality is nice, it's smooth, and then the powertrain's really good. So I know a lot of people kind of hate on these bigger SUVs when they've got the V6s like what this has, but I'm at 4,500 feet elevation, and having a twin turbo V6 is great because I don't get massive power loss. And here in Utah, a lot of people drive up the canyons, which I'm included in that bunch. And when you have a naturally aspirated car, you can feel a huge difference from where you're at the valley here at 4,500 feet to where you're at, well, the top of those mountains, which, I mean, a lot of the canyons, the top portions are anywhere from 9,000 to 11,000 feet. And you can feel a huge power loss. Whereas with this, it definitely holds its power a lot better. And so, yeah, if you're looking for something that's good to drive up and down mountains, all that kind of stuff, take your family around, and yeah, the Expedition Max is great, and I still think it's a really solid offering, and I feel like it's basically lasted the test of time so far. Now, that is going to sum things up for a video on this 2021 Ford Expedition Max in the limited package. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Schmiller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with this Expedition. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.